morning, everybody. It's really great to see a lot of friends and colleagues in the audience. I don't get to see you all the time, so glad that you were able to get to see you today. My name's Dave Mawhinney, and I'm the Executive Director of the Swartz Center for Entrepreneurship. I'm a serial entrepreneur, angel investor, and also a CMU alum, a proud CMU alum. The Swartz Center helps entrepreneurs by educating them, providing networking and expertise, and investment funding to help them achieve their dreams. We're very fortunate today to have Ken Hayes with us, who has a career that does a lot of those things as well. Ken Hayes helps startups grow, get financed, and increase revenue and build value. He joined the Cleantech Open in 2017 as the executive director, covering national and global operations. He's also a venture partner and co-founder of Canyon Creek Capital's Fund Number 2, a VC fund based focused on Southern California tech companies from seed to Series A, with more than 40 investments in the last 5 years. He is director emeritus of the Pasadena Angels, where he was responsible for operations of this 100-member group, and he continues to focus on deal sourcing, mentoring entrepreneurs, and performing due diligence for the Pasadena Angels. In 2016, Ken became an adjunct instructor based at the University of Southern California for the NSF I-Corps program, teaching the lean startup methodology to university teams for commercializing their advanced technologies. And finally, Ken is a quote-unquote recovering entrepreneur who has built and sold several companies in Europe and the US in the SaaS, EdTech, and AdTech sectors. He earned his MBA from INSEAD in France and his BA in economics from Pomona College. Please join me in welcoming Ken Hayes.
Thanks, David. Thank you very much, David. Thank you as well to Anna for inviting me here to this wonderful CMU Energy Week. I'm very happy to be here, and I look forward to taking you through a journey of what we call Cleantech 2.0. And the reason 2.0 is in quotation marks is, depending on who you talk to, we're actually in Cleantech 4.0 or maybe 5.0. There's a lot of regeneration going on, and so I will spend a little bit of time today talking to you about Cleantech Open and about some of the changes and how we're adapting to the changing environment. So, you know, in the theme of 2.0, and thank you, David, for the introduction. I mean, I also went through a personal journey, and I imagine many of you, first of all, show of hands, how many of you are entrepreneurs? Okay, that's a good chunk in the room. How many want to be entrepreneurs? Ooh, okay. All those who are going to do it are already doing it, huh? All right. How many of you are students here in the university? Good, all right, a few number, all right. The journey of Cleantech is about regeneration and trying to discover something new. And in my own personal journey, I mean, I started out as an MBA. Of course, I thought I knew everything. We all know that doesn't mean anything until the rubber meets the road and you become an entrepreneur. I parlayed that to become an angel investor and parlayed that to become a venture capitalist. And now I'm very excited. I get to work with 40 companies, trying to help them grow and hopefully make a lot of money. In 2017, I read the book by Michael Bloomberg and Carl Pope called Climate of Hope. And how many of you have read that book? Anna has. I would highly recommend that you read that because, you know, Michael Bloomberg, legit self-made billionaire, also mayor of New York, basically wrote a book with Carl Pope, who had been the head of the Sierra Club, and talked about the merging of business and environmentalism. And to me, that was very inspiring. I'm in my 50s now, and I realized that the 40 companies I invested in VC are most likely going to disrupt the world for the negative. I mean, we're developing robotics that are going to put hundreds of thousands of people out of work, or at least in serious transition. I realized I needed to do something that had scale and had a positive impact. And I discovered I kind of fell backwards into Cleantech Open in 2017. And I imagine there's a lot of you out there that may be going through a similar kind of journey. And I can tell you it's a lot of fun. It's way more fulfilling. It's a lot harder. So far, it's less financially rewarding, but we'll see. And that's what we're trying to fix in this ecosystem. So I'd like to take a few minutes and just talk about Cleantech Open's mission. And Cleantech Open, and I'll get into some details here in a moment, we're a business accelerator, and our mission is to find, fund, and foster entrepreneurs that have some of the big ideas that address today's biggest problems in energy, environmental, and economic challenges. So that's a big mouthful. It's a big mission. The beautiful thing is we work with 100 to 200 companies a year. Every single one of those entrepreneurs is convinced they're going to make the world a better place. And that is a fantastic group of people to work with. They're not all going to make it. Our mission is to help as many of them become successful as possible. So we call ourselves the world's largest clean technology accelerator. I'm not sure anybody's any bigger yet. If they are, come see me and I'll duke it out. But we're a nonprofit. We were founded in 2005. We have over 1,000 volunteers. So these are typically pro bono professionals working pro bono with us as mentors, as volunteers, as pitch judges. We're organized in 6 regional organizations. We hold over 100 events in 26 metro areas. And we run 1 cohort a year from June until November. So we're in what we call our recruiting season. We work with companies overseas. We run a global ideas competition. And we did a global partnership with the United Nations we call 1.0, where we actually ran Cleantech Open Accelerator in developing countries around the world. We focus on early stage companies. So, you can see here oftentimes entrepreneur starts with grants, or they bootstrap, or they're doing a lot of research. We are working with companies that are typically 1, 2, 3 people. They've raised less than $1 million of equity. They are still trying to figure out what is their real market, what is their strategy, how are they going to go to market, how do they protect their IP. The next stage, which will include a lot of the investors you may meet today. Some of the investors today will be in that seed, angel, bridge stage, but then most institutional investors are at the Series A, B, and C and later stage. So our goal is to help companies survive through that early stage process. And one example is this from Vikram from EnergySage. Went through our program in the Northeast here in 2012. He said, Cleantech Open helped us fine-tune our pitch and get ready for our seed round, has helped EnergySage tap Boston's entrepreneurial ecosystem. Even with my background in private equity and strategy, CTO was quite helpful. So this is an opportunity to really focus effort and make it successful. And they've gone on to become really successful. And Vikram actually continues to work with Cleantech Open as a mentor and a judge and a volunteer. So we cover 8 sectors. Energy is the largest. 3 of our sectors are energy related: generation, distribution, storage, and efficiency. But we also serve companies in transportation. Agriculture, water, waste is a really growing area. Chemicals, information communication technologies, including IoT, and green buildings. And the interesting thing is, and this is one of the interesting developments in Cleantech, is most of the entrepreneurs going through Cleantech Open actually can check off 2 or 3 of these boxes, of these categories. So we're not a water accelerator, we're not only an energy accelerator, it's actually quite integrative across. And there's a lot of the same problems companies face, no matter which sector they're in. It's a quite rigorous program that we run. It's a 10-week accelerator program. You don't have to move or anything. In fact, and I'll get to this about what we're doing here in Pennsylvania and Pittsburgh, but it consists of training. We run boot camps, so we run business clinics. Every company gets matched to a couple of mentors. They can be generalist mentors who know about general business development, but they can be specialists. And we will endeavor to match the best mentors from around the country that have that specialty in that particular technology you're looking to do. If it's hydro-generated power storage or underground carbon heat storage, things like, we actually have people that know about that, and we match them to companies. Mentors work for free. They're giving back. They're looking to work with the ecosystem, and they are desiring to help pay it forward. We provide access to capital through things like Investor Connect and Partner Connect events. And then we provide companies an opportunity to showcase and do expo and show off their wares. We do a lot of promotion on social media through our newsletters to really help these entrepreneurs get themselves to the next level. So what we like to say is that innovators become entrepreneurs, as they progress through our curriculum. A lot of our companies, entrepreneurs, they are very technically minded. Maybe they come out of research at universities, so they really understand their technology, but they don't have a lot of experience talking to customers. And we help facilitate that process and that learning. And these bullet points are basically what we call the 8 essential business deliverables. And if you're going to pitch to investors or corporate partners, you're going to have to know and be able to show pretty much all of these items here. These are all meant to be very useful to an entrepreneur in that next stage. One example here, again, I picked some examples here from the Northeast, Social Solar. And Donna is a fantastic entrepreneur that she went through the program. Actually, she didn't even qualify for the program the first time she applied. She was too early stage, and she went through what we call the company development program, which is kind of a Cleantech Open light. She came back the next year, became accepted to the 2018 program, and became so successful that she was a finalist at the regional level, won a bunch of cash, and then attended our global forum in Los Angeles as a national finalist. So fantastic progression for that entrepreneur who just needed the chance and needed the learning and the experience to become a more capable entrepreneur. And now her company is off and running. Our winner this past year, Radical Plastics, and the CEO, Kristen Taylor, actually won our competition in Los Angeles and won a $50,000 prize and is now on her way. The company's incorporated. They're negotiating for further funding, and she was very kind to be very appreciative of Cleantech Open. So again, we're taking entrepreneurs on their journey to become better, more successful entrepreneurs. And we work with the ecosystem. I know there's a number of you here that we work with. Brian from 76 West is a good example. He's promised to heckle me with questions here later on. But we work with venture capitalists, the national labs, and I'm really interested to get to know Nettle. I know NREL very well. We work with Lawrence Berkeley Labs. We like to get to know all of them better. Corporations, government, foundations. I mean, for us, we're kind of the center of that ecosystem, and we're agnostic. We're not owned by any particular player in that system. We're looking to help entrepreneurs succeed no matter who they need to work with. So what happens after Cleantech Open? It's all about getting to the next step. And whether that's further technology development, whether it's getting funding, whether it's commercializing the product, we try to help make that happen, and we want to give the entrepreneur the tools to do that. We continue to have engagement with our alumni, and we promote them, we invite them to programs. Even alumni that graduated 2 or 3 years ago and beyond are invited to participate in our Investor Connect. So our investors are looking for seed, Series A, Series B, and we actually have companies that can fulfill those requests. And at the end of the day, we want these companies to launch, grow, and scale. So some of the impact. Now this, I'll give a moment you can take in these numbers. This infographic, regrettably, is a bit outdated because this was done in 2014. At that time, we had about 1,100 companies that went through it. We now have over 1,500 companies that went through Cleantech Open. And these companies, by that time, had generated 3,200 jobs, had raised $187 million of capital, and they generated $187 million of revenue, and they raised $1.2 billion of capital. These are the typical economic numbers that we show, but Cleantech Open has evolved to focus on how to measure environmental impact. And we are part of a consortium of other incubators called Just Impact, which was funded by IN2, as Anna mentioned, to teach entrepreneurs how to measure their environmental impact. Now, the challenge at such an early stage is all of our companies are pre-revenue, so you don't actually know how many tons of greenhouse gases that company technology has saved yet. But we're trying to teach our entrepreneurs at that early stage, you have to learn how to think about that and how to verbalize it and talk to impact investors. Like, I don't know how many of you saw Matthew Norden yesterday evening, who talked about Prime Coalition and the Prime Impact Fund. They are very, very keen. That's one of their biggest criteria, is an entrepreneur has to be able to document and show that at scale, what kinds of environmental climate impact are they going to succeed in improving. So it's very important to us to not only just show these kinds of economic impacts, but also environmental impacts. And what makes Cleantech Open unique? We probably about 80 to 90% of our companies have a hard tech focus. These are new technologies. The example of radical plastics is a kind of a biodegradable plastic. Most of our companies have hardware technologies, and that's different than a typical software or app company. There's, as Matt described yesterday, it's a longer process. It's harder to show economic return early on, and these are issues that we deal with in the Accelerator. Again, I mentioned sustainability impact, deep engagement with mentors. Every company is matched, as I said, to 2 to 4 mentors. That's consistently the highest rated element of our program, is those relationships that are created. And finally, we focus on entrepreneurs, not just companies. So again, we have 100 to 200 companies running through our program. We're trying to educate and give skills to entrepreneurs. They may not be successful in that company that they specifically went through the Cleantech Open in. It might be the next company. It might be the next company after that. But we want to make sure that those entrepreneurs get the skills that are going to be useful to them in their further career. And even when after they graduate Cleantech Open and they may change companies, or they typically will start another company, they're still alumni of Cleantech Open, and we will still continue to work with them, stay in touch, and try to generate value for them. My image here, I don't know how many of you can see, these are like the turtles climbing out of a swamp. And I like to say we're kind of the primordial swamp of cleantech and energy, because we're the swamp where all of these entrepreneurs and these ideas are kind of bubbling up through the mass, and we're trying to get them onto shore so they can begin to crawl. Other organizations like Prime Impact or 76 West, they take those companies and take them to the next level. We're trying to get companies up onto the shore. So my shameless plug is any of you who are entrepreneurs out there or mentors, want to be mentors or volunteers, you can apply, and we have an early bird deadline now and final deadline on the May 1st, cleantechopen.org. So that's a brief background about Cleantech Open. So now, what's the deal with Cleantech? If you talk to the wider community, people say, well, Cleantech is dead. And I'm saying, well, what is 2.0 or 4.0? There's a lot of things that have been working against Cleantech here in the last few years. As we've seen other speakers talk about, you may hear about on the panel from investors, Cleantech went through a big boom and a bust, and it's starting to come back. Still, it's a very challenging environment. And I will be optimistic at the end, but right now it's actually really, really tough. The federal government is working kind of against a lot of environmental priorities. Cleantech's venture capitalists and private equity, they're still looking for big exits to the companies that have been invested in over the last 10 years. And frankly, other technologies are sexier. If you talk to a lot of the young engineers coming through CMU, they want to work on robotics, they want to work on artificial intelligence and blockchain, and these are just sexier topics. Not necessarily as big a positive impact on the world, and so that's a challenge for us. And even the word clean tech turns out to be a dirty word. Now there's a sustainability and circular economy, and there's all envirotech. I mean, there's all these other terms. At the end of the day, though, clean tech is the right word for us, and we're going to stick to it. But the world ain't getting any better. The decline in investment. And here the green bars was basically the amount of investment into early stage, venture capital clean tech investments from 2001 to 2016. Went up, it went down, it's kind of plateaued. I now have this large column here on the right at $9.2 billion. That doesn't mean we went from 2016 to 2018 with that massive increase. Actually, the difference United States has been pretty flat. The difference is the rest of the world is starting to make massive investments in clean tech, primarily led by China. It's actually quite fascinating. And one example here is another company that graduated, Virant. They went through Cleantech Open in 2015 in the water category. And they went on a trade mission trip with President Trump and the entire delegation to China here a year or so ago, and it ended up securing $800 million worth of commercial deals in China. And we're seeing this trend that the companies that we're incubating and fostering here in the United States are actually finding bigger commercial success outside of the United States. It's quite interesting. As a patriotic American, I would love for them to gain all of their success in the United States, but the truth is cleantech is an international game, and some countries have more resources and are prepared to spend a lot of money, and they, in many cases, have greater impacts that need to be made than in the United States. But we're very proud of our companies that have been going abroad. At the large scale, and I'm sure the investors coming on will have a better explanation than this, is again, China's clear leader. They're investing $100 billion a year in clean technologies, compared to United States is at $64 billion. There's a very large strategic partnerships going on, and so at the large scale investment, that's a good time to be in the growth stage, but it's tough for the early stage. The good news is early stage companies don't need a whole lot of money. We don't need $100 billion to make clean tech successful and foster all the innovation that's going to have to get done in order to solve the problems of our world. Innovation needs new entrants, and we need a diversity of investors that want to support this rich swamp. And again, I'm not talking about like the Washington, D.C. swamp, which is supposed to be drained. I'm talking about the primordial swamp of fostering and developing early companies. And the good thing is, here just in the last few years, there have been a wave of new entrants into the space of providing financing and funding and partnership to companies. And so we have partnerships. Well, you had Chevron as a good sponsor here. They are getting active in it. We work with Shell, companies like ABB. There's a lot of impact capital coming in. Breakthrough Energy Ventures, Prime Coalition, which we saw yesterday, Powerhouse Fund, Wells Fargo, who is basically the sugar daddy of the energy and clean tech space. They invest tens of millions of dollars a year in fully grant donated money to foster the entire ecosystem. And the truth is, it does take a whole ecosystem. We're dealing with innovators that have to survive that valley of death. It's easy to get started, and if you're growing, it's easy to it's easy to gain growth capital, but you have to get through that process at the bottom of proving out the technology, getting first commercialization, getting pilot projects, and showing that there actually is substance in what you're doing. It is like Matt said yesterday, no investors want to be first in a deal. They want somebody else to take all the risk, and we're dealing with companies that have all that risk. But there is hope. First of all, it's cheaper to start a company nowadays than it ever was before in terms of just getting yourself going. There's a lot more infrastructure for clean tech startups that are available, whether it's through cloud computing, manufacturing partnerships, joining the incubators with facilities like we're connected to Lacey, the LA Clean Tech Incubator in Los Angeles. It has prototyping facilities. There's Greentown Labs in Boston, where I was talking to Anna this morning about the visions here at CMU for facilities. So these are coming online and they are super helpful. But it's also confusing for entrepreneurs trying to figure out, okay, who should I partner with and how do I get going? Here's some examples of the strengthened regional infrastructure. We work with NECEC, which is in the Northeast Clean Energy Council out of Boston, and they actually run Cleantech Open in the Northeast region for us. In fact, their program manager, Tricia Dinkel, is here. Wave, Tricia. She will be, I'm very glad that she's joined us. She will be helping, always happy to talk to entrepreneurs and others about participating in Cleantech Open. In the West, we work with the California Energy Commission. The California Energy Commission took a pile of money from a PG&E settlement that this was because of gas explosion, and turned it into a multi-million-dollar fund that they call Calseed. And Calseed basically fosters companies coming through, and they make grants of $500 million, $400,000 or $500,000 to startups. And we partner with them And we have a quite deep partnership because every company that gets a Calseed early grant runs through the Cleantech Open Accelerator. The California Energy Commission wanted to make sure that every company had a minimum baseline of capabilities, skills, experience about talking to customers, experience about understanding their ecosystem, to make sure that they had those capabilities as part of getting their grants with the California, with Calseed. We have a number here's some more of our alumni. Here's one I would like to just highlight, Phoenix, which is a company has basically moved to Africa, and they were acquired by Engie here maybe about 6 months ago, maybe about a year. Very excited that they're a good example of a company that went through the accelerator, started getting their initial sales and fundraising, and got acquired by a top shelf company to expand out in Africa. Same with Arcimoto. Three-wheeled electric cars, did a Reg A+ IPO and got themselves up on the big board on NASDAQ. There's only 2 electric car companies that are publicly listed. The other one starts with a T, but these guys are first. They start with an A. So a couple of the opportunities, I'm down to just one more minute or so. The opportunities we see in Cleantech Open is to strengthen this primordial swamp and accelerate the evolution. So we're doing that in 3 ways. We're expanding geographically. We need to reinvigorate clean tech throughout the United States, not just on the coasts. We give companies access to a national platform. We're increasing the diversity of the teams going through. We want to give more entrepreneurs the opportunity to succeed. I'm really proud that 24% of our entrepreneurs are women-led companies. That's much higher than the national average of companies that become angel funded or VC funded. We need to improve on that. And we're trying to build a faster evolution to help entrepreneurs more quickly get those connections to the next step opportunities. So that leads me to an announcement today, which is we are also an IN2 strategic partner, and with our conversations with Anna and outreach from NECEC, we're looking to launch a Cleantech Open here in Pittsburgh and Pennsylvania, and thanks to Anna for that. This is really the first year we've done anything in the state of Pennsylvania. The IN2 program, which is funded by Wells Fargo and managed by NREL, has provided some seed funding to help make that happen. And we're looking to leverage the great local initiatives and the people here in the area. So in the beginning, this is managed by people like Tricia and our regional director, Beth Zonas from Boston. But our real goal is to develop a robust Cleantech Open Accelerator Program in both Pittsburgh and Philadelphia, and make sure that the entrepreneurs, and it's a vibrant ecosystem, gets that national exposure and that training that Cleantech Open can provide. We're also in the process of putting together what we call the CTO Innovation Fund, which again is going to be, Cleantech Open is basically a pipeline. And we're trying to ask the question, how can we help as many companies as possible? We don't want to pick one winner at the beginning. We want to help 10 companies or 20 companies a year get some actual funding. So we're putting that together. And finally, we've got better corporate engagement. So we depend on corporate sponsorship. That's basically the fuel that allows us to run. The Wells Fargo Environmental Affairs Group and FedEx are our 2 biggest patrons, and thank you to them for supporting that. And these large companies do want to engage with early stage companies. We looked at further commercial partnerships, and everything is to drive larger scale innovation and develop an eager, diverse army of entrepreneurs and innovators. And we don't know, they may not have the right idea right now to make the product or the technology that's going to be big, but they will in the future, and we have to work with them, and we want to help make them succeed. So join us. If you're an entrepreneur, if you want to be a mentor, if you want to be a volunteer, if you want to be a sponsor, deadline is May 1st. Help make our world a better place. Thank you.
We do have a few questions. Sorry, my mic is a little loud, maybe. So how do you evaluate? I know you talked a little bit about this, so I'm going to group a couple of questions. People are most curious about how you evaluate companies, what's the process for matching teams with mentors, and how much travel is involved? What does it take?
So in terms of the criteria of joining Cleantech Open, a lot of accelerators brag about how they only accept 5% of their applicants. I'm trying to figure out how can I accept 60% of our applicants and make sure we give the opportunity to as many as possible. So we do have an application process. It's online. You basically have to describe what your goals are, how far, what stage you're at, the stage of your technology. But really, it comes down to how much grit and determination and interest and drive does that entrepreneur have? And we know at this stage, every company, every entrepreneur is rough around the edges. That's okay. We don't want you to have all the answers yet, because if you think you have all the answers, they're going to be, at least a few of them are going to be wrong. So that's okay. So we actually have a very kind of generous application process. The program, what was the second question? I know one question was about the travel. So
mentors. How do you match with mentors?
Okay. So we match mentors by taking the application that somebody submitted, and we have our mentor pool, which is both local and national, and we have every region has a mentor committee that helps match the appropriate, kind of the best mentors to the entrepreneurs, and that are most appropriate, whether it's technology, stage, or whatever. So that's done, and if an entrepreneur or mentor, if they don't like each other, whatever, I mean, we switch it around. We want that relationship to be good. And mentors are not compensated. They don't get stock. They're not allowed to get anything beyond like maybe coffee at Starbucks or lunch. So they're doing this out of the goodness of their heart and to pay it forward, not because they're looking for a job. And then I think the final question was how much travel is involved. We run two national academies at the beginning of the program. One is in Oakland or Fremont, the other is in Boston this year, and every company that joins has to attend one or the other, and you can pretty much pick. During the course of the and that's basically a 2 to 3 day, we call it a boot camp. Nobody's going to be shooting at you. It's really just a launch of the program. Then you go through 10 weeks. Each of the regions runs business clinics, which you may travel to a nearby city, or depending on if we get enough teams together, someone will come here. And then we have the regional events, which are 2-day events, typically at the headquarters of each region, whether it's Austin, Texas, Minneapolis, Boston, or New York, Los Angeles, San Francisco, wherever they happen to be. And our global forum is a 2 to 3 day event. In the last couple of years, has been in Los Angeles, and we're looking to move that around. Maybe in a couple of years, we could have it here in Pittsburgh.
Open up their network to, or at least some limited support or networking to companies that are not actually participants?
The answer is not really. So, when we're dealing with 100 companies a year, it's not because we don't want to help other entrepreneurs, but we're really focused on the companies that have gone through our program and are going through our program and who are alumni. So, we're good, we're nice players in the ecosystem. We don't really want to turn anybody away, but in terms of the Investor Connect events that we organize and matchmaking to partners, our priority is for sure focusing on companies that went through the program.
What are some of the ways that Pittsburgh can build more shared and sustainable resources here in the city?
Well, that's a good question. This is the first time I've ever been in Pittsburgh, and I'm from Los Angeles, so anything east of Las Vegas is like a blur to me. But I'm here to learn, and I'm here to work with local leaders like Anna and the group here to understand kind of the capabilities. I mean, it's been fascinating for me seeing like the city leaders and others here in Pittsburgh. I think it's really about a matter of coalescing efforts around initiatives. And Cleantech Open is just one of them. But what really works well with Cleantech Open is it's a program that you kind of get on, it's a curriculum that you go through, and it provides kind of a structured environment where we have opportunities to engage that ecosystem. So, I think that's probably my biggest advice. You have to have programs that give people an excuse to get together and work together.
you accept software plays?
Yes, we do. Absolutely, absolutely. And more and more of our companies are quite integrative. So we do have software companies, and we do work with them. Absolutely.
So I think any final thoughts that you want to share with us?
No, except that, well, all right. Final thought is it's not how much you know, it's how fast you learn. And what we're trying to do at Cleantech Open is help entrepreneurs learn the art and the skill of business as quickly as possible so they can be successful. And so it's, CMU is a very prestigious university, but I've come to learn it doesn't really matter as much where you actually studied. It actually is much more important how fast you learn, how you iterate, how you take what you observe and learned and tried and failed at and develop to the next. We try to do that with our organization. Entrepreneurs do that with their companies. And I think that's probably the underlying spirit of everything we do.
Great, thank you very much.
Thank you
so much to Ken.